بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وبعد. So inshallah this is going to be the recording of phase 2, which we for some reason we forgot to record. I guess we just skipped it on accident in the book. Maybe the bookmark fell and then the page got lost or whatever the case may be, and nobody let me know that we forgot until it was too late. But so this is phase 2. This is page 87 from the Believer's Handbook for Seeking Knowledge. So this is phase 2 of the learning the Arabic language. In phase 2, you are going to begin with learning basic vocabulary. All right, so because this is still the very basic stage. Phase 1 is based on obviously learning how to read and getting your reading correct and starting to get where you can read without having somebody listening to you. You just get to the point where you could just basically read basic words. So once you got that, now it's time to start to collect vocabulary, and that's what phase 2 is about. Is about collecting basic vocabulary in the Arabic language. All right, at this point, you are not capable of stringing words together to form sentences because you lack the most basic words in the language. The type of vocabulary you will learn at this level is the following: book, kitabun, pen, qalamun, door, babun, window, nafidatun, face, wajhun, hand, yadun. This is just a very small, and this is all like just basic, like Medina book type vocabulary. And as much as I wouldn't say that I'm not a fan of the Medina books. It's just the books that we have, level 1, volume 1, 2, 3, and 4 are incomplete. It's not the syllabus nor the curriculum that they teach at the actual university. This is just a very abridged version to get the people just learning very, very, very basic Arabic. But it's not sufficient for a person if he just studied Medina Book 1, Medina Book 2, Medina Book 3, or however, I think it's just 3, or is it 3 or 4? I can't even remember. It's been so long since I have not seen those books in more than probably close to 2 decades. I have not had to subhanAllah, I have not seen those books in so long. But whatever the case may be, basically Medina Book 1, Medina Book 2, the vocabulary from those 2 books is probably sufficient to get you started into the books of Ta'bir. Like once you get those 2 books, when I was in Los Angeles, that's all I did. I sat back at home and just memorized all the vocabulary from Book 1 and Book 2. So by the time that I got into Yemen and I got to Damaj and I started studying the Arabic language, like I wouldn't say like, okay, I couldn't put a sentence together for nothing. I mean, if my life depended on putting a sentence together, people were doing those 4 takbirat over me because I didn't have that ability, because those books don't teach that. They don't teach you how to make the verbs, to put the verbs into like the different, the habtu, the habna, the habti, the habtuma, so. All that stuff I had to learn when I was in Damaj, but at least the basic vocabulary, you learn it so you can start to learn, okay, like this is a kitab, this is a book. What do I do with it? Now you learn the verb qara'a. So you say, like, for example, qara'a Ahmadu al-kitab, all right, or qara'atu al-kitab. So then you start to, but basically you have to have those words first before you start putting them in the sentences. And that's where this phase comes into play. So he said, this is just a very small example of the words that should be introduced to a student in the beginning. A set of books similar to the Medina series, Book 1 and Book 2, will give you enough vocabulary to accomplish what needs to be accomplished in this phase. It's supposed to say in this phase. There's a mistake in the book. The way this series is set up is to begin with the introduction of nouns first, with noun sentences. And this is what the student needs in this phase. And that's what you see in the Medina book. I believe Medina Book 1, it starts off with like Hada Masjidun, Hada Babun, Hada, so it starts off with just real basic sentences just so you can start to say things, and but then it will start to develop you further. I really have to go back and look at those books to really give a good assessment of what's supposed to be going on, because for me, when I got to Los Angeles with Farid, nobody was teaching the Medina books at that time. Farid was teaching Al-Wasatiyah, and he was teaching other things and you go and give talks in different places, but like the Arabic language, nobody was teaching it. And the brothers that were studying the Arabic language, eventually they were going to Riyadh to go to the university. So all of them, they had those books. They had gotten the books from the language program in Riyadh, and they were all going through those books. So nobody was going through the Medina books at that time. So I just sat at home and, like I said, I just memorized the vocabulary on my own, and that was it. I didn't. Nobody was actually teaching it, so I'd have to really go back and look at those books to like now and really see what was really going on in those books, because I had no clue. I was just memorizing vocabulary. There was no class. We had a class in the Medina books that started in Atlanta, and that's where I started. We started on Medina book 1, but that didn't last long. The brother that was teaching us ended up going to Mauritania to go study there, and then I left and went to Philadelphia. So I didn't really get much, maybe a couple chapters out of that book. So everything else that I did was all just basically memorization. So, but all right. So in continuing, a lot of let me see. A lot of local Salafi masjids have taught the series throughout the years, but the series was taught as the end-all, be-all. And that's the reality. People taught these books like this is it. You study the Medina books and you're going to know Arabic. Man, that's just setting people up for failure. You study the Medina books and you'll have a good start. Like, you'll have a good kick start. And you'll have you'll get going, but you need to get in the books of Ta'bir before you actually learn the Arabic language. That is definitely not the case, as we have witnessed overseas from students who only focus on the Medina series. If you memorize all the vocabulary in the Medina books, it would be sufficient for you to start at level 2 in the books of Ta'bir, conversational Arabic. Most Ta'bir books go to level 6 or 7, or level 2 is a low. Level 2 is a low level. And I know this because when I went to Damaj, I started in level 2, and I had memorized all the vocabulary in those books. So that's basically me speaking from my own experience. Our brother Sajid is continually working on developing a curriculum for this purpose on his Institute website. He is teaching the courses for students at this level of their Arabic studies. So that is something for the people to check out if they do not have local resources. I don't know if he's still doing that or not. I don't know what's going on with those classes, so I can't really comment on that now. When I was writing this book, he was recording classes, and he had just published a new book for his Institute series of learning the Arabic language for the very, very basic. So I mean, the people, whoever wants to check that out, they can go to the Institute website and see what he finished as far as the classes are concerned, because his books are also just very basic, introducing you to the basic vocabulary, and then starts to introduce you into basic sentences that you could use. And to get ready for Ta'bir, because really the whole point, once you get into Ta'bir, the books of Ta'bir, which is the books on like conversational Arabic, and then obviously the lessons are different there with the exercises and everything. So that's when you start to really learn more. I'm not a fan of learning Arabic online. I believe a person should sit with a teacher that can correct him. However, that is not always feasible. For those that do not have those local resources, Institute will offer them a chance to begin their studies. And like I said, this is good for the basic stuff. We've been discussing what we can do as far as the more of the Ta'bir and the more advanced studies in the Arabic language, I mean, that takes time, that takes a lot of people, that takes a lot of effort, and it's just everybody's been spread out, So I moved out to Fresno, and then Sajid's moved out to Houston, and now we're all completely separated. So Allah musta'an, Allah make it easy, but we definitely, it's something that we need more focus on. Everybody needs more focus on it. I mean, just to focus more on pushing the Arabic language and encouraging people to learn the Arabic language, no matter. I mean, the books are not really. The books are never the goal in the Arabic language. The teacher is the most important thing. And that's one thing that you can understand, because a teacher could take a garbage book and like a book that's not really the best book, but he could give you a lot of benefit, and you could benefit great. But, a bad teacher could take a the perfect book and destroy it, and just destroy it. So the teacher is everything. The teacher makes and breaks that lesson. So what the teacher can do with a good book, what a good teacher can do with a good book, that's just, alhamdulillah, that's a, nurun ala nur, so it's a blessing. It's a blessing from Allah that you have. If you have that blessing to have a good teacher, whether or not the book is not even important. Whether you finish those books is not even important. The important thing is your understanding and how it's improving in the Arabic language. And I mean, this is something that we need to push more and encourage the people more with, inshallah. For those that do not have local resources, okay, I said that. All right. As you're studying the books that you choose to study, you have to constantly read and reread your previous lessons until you have the vocabulary etched in your mind. Do not be lazy about memorization. Your ability to sit down and reread something hundreds of times until it becomes etched in your mind is going to make your future classes much easier. You have to put the most work in during the early stages of your learning, and that's the truth. The discipline starts from the very beginning. Don't think that, okay, I'm gonna take it easy now and I'll start to no, you have to start the discipline early. You have to start setting the stage of this is how I'm gonna do things very early. Because especially with the Arabic language, because everything that you do in this deen, every thing that you study, every book that you read is all going to go back to your understanding of the Arabic language. So it's just like if you did it in a very lazy, haphazard manner, and you didn't take the lesson seriously, you read it a couple times, you went and reread the lesson a couple times, and this is the type of understanding that you're going to have. And everything, I mean, just imagine, you're going to be going through tafsir, you're going to read through the explanations of books of hadith, and everything that you do is going to go back to your understanding of the Arabic language. And that's going to make you or break you. And so many people have gone astray because they thought they understood something and they didn't. They didn't understand it. They understood it wrong. And then they went around believing wrong without going back and correcting it and teaching the people wrong. So this is of the utmost importance that you take your studies very seriously in the beginning. Start the discipline early. Start the plan early. How you're going to do it. All right, I'm going to take these lessons. I'm going to read each lesson 50 times or something. All my whatever notes I have, I'm just going to reread them 50 times before I go to the next class. And that's a good plan. Inshallah, 100 would be nice, but 50 is a good start. All right, it's also important to have a close companion that you're studying with. With your companion, you can constantly drill each other on the vocabulary, and this also helps out because you get to listen. You can listen to yourself, obviously, if you read, because you're reading out loud. But with a companion, you have that back and forth thing, so you're listening. And there are three things that you always have to do. You have to say it, you have to write it, you have to listen to it. So that is memorization. And the more of those three things that you do, the more it's etched in your mind. So with your companion, you can constantly drill each other on the vocabulary. This is majorly important, but not absolutely necessary. For the people that do not have a close friend to study with, you will have to drill yourself. This is going to mean a lot of talking to yourself. You will seem crazy to the people, but you're not studying Arabic to make people like you. When choosing a close companion, make sure that you choose a person that is driven and ready to put the work in. Having no companion is better than having a lazy one. And wallahi, that's the truth. Wallahi, just sitting there studying by yourself is way much more beneficial than dragging a lazy person behind you. I prefer to talk to myself until the sun rises in the west before I have to deal with a lazy study partner that does not want to put in the work. You might as well get a cat and talk to the cat. Again, experience. I did that in Damaj, by the way. His name was Khunfur. Khunfur, which in Arabic means absolute idiot. He was like an all-black cat in Yemen. They think like all black cats are jinnis. So the kids tried to stone the cat to death when he was a little kitten. So one of the British brothers, he saw what they were doing, and he jumped in and grabbed the cat. But the cat had already had broken legs. He was already beat up bad. So the brother brought the cat to me and said, "Hey, you want a cat?" And I said, "Yeah, I'll take him. He's messed up, but I'll take him." And then yeah, that became my companion, and that's why I called him Khunfur, because he would just sit there and go out in the middle of these little situations where he just gets stoned, So Allah Mustaan. And I actually got that word from Fiqh al-Lugha. I was reading Fiqh al-Lugha, and I came across that, and I just ended up naming him that. Because al-khanfa' is it's the highest one. It's not the highest stage of al-ghabawa, of al-hamaqa, but it's one of those up stages, like probably like the third to the last stage of stupidity. So it's just like it's a very high level of stupidity. So Allah Mustaan. Another action you need to get accustomed to, and by the way, they actually did eventually stone the cat to death. So yeah, but it took him about a year. Took him probably like about 2 years. Yeah, but Imam Ahmed Wasabi's kids stoned my cat to death. Allah Mustaan. Wa da'awtu alayhim. Yeah, I made dua against them because they came to me and they said, "Ha, we stoned your cat to death." And I was like, well, Allah get revenge on you guys. Take revenge on you guys, then khalas. Allah Mustaan. Another action you need to get accustomed to during this phase is writing. In the beginning, you will not be writing Arabic, you will be drawing it. And what I mean by that is because obviously you haven't gotten accustomed to writing the Arabic language. So because you've been writing in English your whole life, you're going to be focusing on this, this left to right type of writing. And now Arabic is right to left. So everything now you have to relearn it. You have to learn from almost like just being a child. So you have to write very slowly because like when you're writing out the fat, you make sure that you have to even when you're putting the dots and everything onto the letters like the fa, the ba, and all that, you're going to be doing it from the right to the left. So normally what most people do is they'll write out the word without the dots or any harakat, and then go back and put those in like really, really fast. And then, but you're going to do that also from right to left. And you have to, so there's a lot of things that you have to pick up as you're writing the letters and everything. So you see you'll be doing it real slow in the beginning. And like I said, it's like you're drawing it. It's not like you're not at the point where you're writing, but you're actually drawing the letters. So Allah Mustaan. So I said, and another action you need to get accustomed to during this phase is writing. In the beginning, you will not be writing Arabic. You'll be drawing it. Your writing is going to be slow and labored. Well, guess what? If you do not write, it will never get easier. You can complain all you want about how difficult it is to write, but it will never get easier until you put in hours upon hours of practice. Yeah, because this is what people do. Oh, I hate writing. Oh, who cares what you hate and what you like? And this life is not formulated on the things that you like to do and the things that you don't like to do. If you only do the things that you like to do, you will never be successful, except for in very, very rare occasions. As far as we're talking about big success. We're not just talking about little accomplishments here and there. You can accomplish a few things just doing the things that you like. But when we talk about great achievements, big things, achievements that you can tell your grandchildren about or whatever. Now, whatever. Obviously, that's not something that we're concerned about. But I'm just saying, we're talking about big things that are going to require you doing the things that you like very little amount of the time, and the things that you don't like the most of the time. Well, nobody likes to sit down and repeat one page 100, 200 times, 300 times. You have to do it. Because if you don't do it, then it's not going to be etched in your mind. And when the time comes for you to stahdir, to recall this thing, you won't be able to do it, or you might be able to do it, but then you make mistakes, or you just can't recall it. You don't have that quick recall. So again, it's just these are things that you have to do whether you like it or not. And that's what studying is about. Studying is, doing, because everybody's going to have things that they like, just look at an athlete. The athlete loves to play basketball, but he might not love to do all the training that's going to make him a great basketball player. And that's why so few people become professional, and then so few people that become professional become top elite professionals. So the studying is no different. And studying, and for you to be a very successful in seeking knowledge, you have to be able to discipline yourself to do the things you like to do and the things you don't like to do. And the things that you don't like to do are strengthening the things that you like to do. And that's just the reality. People love to read books of tafsir, but then you realize that, okay, I can only get so far in tafsir on my limited understanding of the Arabic language. So you have to study nahu, you have to study sarf, you have to study these different sciences that you might not like to study. They might be very tedious in the beginning and very difficult and make you even contemplate ramming your head into the wall. But the point is that these are things that you have to do for you to get strong in the thing that you love to do, and to continue doing that successfully. You have to do all those things that you don't really like to do, but they're just necessary. They're requirements. And that's just the reality. Writing, reading, memorization, whatever it is that you like from amongst those things is easy. Whatever you don't like, you still have to do it. And that's just the reality, whether you like it or not. So I said, well, guess what? If you do not write, it will never get easier. You can complain all you want about how difficult it is to write, but it will never get easier until you put in hours upon hours of practice. You need to know one thing. This first phase of your studies is the most important. If you begin lazy and lackadaisical with writing, revision, and memorization, you will most likely continue with those traits until you just give up completely. On the other hand, if you begin ready to put in the work and do what is necessary, you will find your studies getting easier and easier as you go along. If there is a time to be the most diligent and consistent, it is in the beginning. What you do in the beginning sets the framework for what you are going to do in the future. And that's it. That's it. Because I would rather put in all the work and then things be easier than I thought they were than to just try to slide by. Because the person that keeps trying to slide by, sooner or later, he's going to hit a brick wall. We've seen it so many times when the people, okay, like you might pick up a few words and you might hit, the ability to converse and have a little conversation in the Arabic language. But now what are you going to do just sliding by when you have to start studying nahu? When you have to start studying, usul al-fiqh, or you can't slide by in this stuff. You either understand it or you don't. It's a sink or swim type of thing. Either, you're gonna get out and toss in the middle of the ocean and you're gonna swim your way back to shore, or you're just gonna die. You're gonna sink in the middle of the ocean. So, and then these sciences are not sciences that you can just slide by on. So you can't like pick up books by Ibn al-Qayyim and just slide by. You either understand it or you're lost, or even worse, you misunderstand it. And then you try to teach the people what you misunderstood and misrepresent everything that he was talking about. I mean, how many people have we seen gone, like, again, they go astray because of that, they're not understanding. So that sliding by thing is a loser mentality. And anything that has to do with the loser mentality, then we'll have nothing to do with it. So either you're going to seek knowledge and you're going to do it the way that it's supposed to be done, or just seek the bare essentials of what you need to know as a Muslim and just go find some profession. Because if this is something that's, you can't take that Western style education, just trying to get a certain grade point average. That's not going to work, because this deen is all about knowledge, understanding, implementation, teaching, and there's so much that goes into it. And if you're not ready to do those things, and it's just you're just wasting time. You're just treading water. So Allah Mustaan, you're not progressing. You need to get out there and start swimming, start moving. So don't take things lightly, especially not in the beginning. When in the beginning you want to overexert yourself, and then as you go along you start to find a pace that you're comfortable at, and then you stick to that pace. But in the beginning, I would rather be overzealous in the beginning, but not to the point of burning yourself out. Don't do it like that. But to the point of, like, you're starting, like, if you're supposed to be going 65 miles per hour, you start at 90, but then you ease your way down into the speed limit. You ease your way into what you're supposed to be, the way that you're supposed to be going, and you'll find it. You'll find your comfort, and not your comfort zone, but you'll find the zone that you need to be in to continue studying and getting the benefit that you need. I mean, obviously, you can't go full throttle the whole time. You have to, eventually you're going to have to slow down. But that's what I'm saying. You slow down to some place where you're comfortable at this pace to continue moving at this pace, and you can continue to benefit. But don't go slow. Don't sit there and try to And, being that person just like, picking his nose and saying, duh, 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 duh. No, you be paying attention in class. Take your lessons, reread them 100 times, 50 times, 100 times, and just, be that hard worker, be that one that's prepared every single class. And then inshallah, and then you'll start to see everything's kind of balance out, and you'll get into the pace that you're comfortable with, and khalas, inshallah. All right, so we're going to stop here. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.